Okay, today's video, we're going to talk about what to do when your Google ads, Google search ads specifically, do not work. We'll talk a bit also about Google Display Network and other PPC ad networks as well in this particular video if you're doing some of those other online advertising sources and platforms for your business. A lot of you guys will get into the situation, and I see this all the time, where you try the Google ads or whatever for a few weeks time or maybe a couple months time, and they'll basically say, how is it my competitors can afford to pay this much for the advertising that I see them doing? How are they making it work? And there's more to it than just putting your credit card in the Google ads slot and then just turning on your ads and having it work. A lot of times when you see those guys that seemingly are everywhere at the top of Google and have been there for the last couple of years or whatever since you've been checking on them or checking in general, they did that and got there through a very intentional process. It's just like the old saying, how did you become an overnight success? And the answer to that is there is no overnight success. They got there through stuff that you did not see, before actually getting to the point where you're now seeing them. The Google ads people are the same way. They didn't start out with the $50,000 a month ad budget. They didn't also start out making money. Most people, when they say that Google ads doesn't work or what have you when they start out, it's because they're too impatient, just typically saying that. Or typically being that they're not patient and they don't understand how Google ads works and also what are the other main ingredients in it that is required to make it work. What I put together here is a simple checklist of things that if your ads are not working, to check to make sure, because you need all these basic things in order to get it to work and know what to focus in on so you know what to focus on next to get it to work. And for you to basically also be telling yourself that Google ads, basically doesn't work. And the answer are the basic thing is Google ads always works. It's just a matter of, are you going to put enough time in to make it work? At least when we're talking about Google search ads and you can Google your search term in your market and there's already other ads there and there's been people advertising for a while. Some of those people are making money. Most of the people aren't, by the way, which is also a surprise to people. Only about 20% of the people in a market are making 80% of the money, basically. Most people make little or nothing, and they just don't know it because they don't have the tracking set up, or they don't know it because basically the main thing is they don't have their tracking set up. We'll just put it that way. And so they got their head buried in the sand. They don't have their tracking set up, or their sales are going up from other things they're doing, and they just think Google ads is, basically working because of that. And practically speaking, Google ads will make your other organic traffic go up. We know this because we see this all the time at our PPC firm. But that's kind of besides the point. And so, like maybe 20-30% of the people in your market are even tracking the results. So anyway, with all that said, I'm going to give you the information where you're going to be able to prove to yourself, is your ads, is Google ads going to be profitable for you, or is it profitable in general for anybody in your market? And then if it is, of course, you're going to know by the end of the video what to focus in and hone in on, get fixed, and then so your ads can actually work. So you know what to do when your ads don't work to get them working. With all that general overview said, the first thing you're going to do if your ads are not working, running Google search ads specifically, is you're going to check your click-through rate. You can go to WordStream, you can type into Google, WordStream average industry click-through rates, and you can see by industry about what your click-through rate on average should be. But for the most part, you don't need to do this. The industry average click-through rate on Google search is right at 2.5 to 3%. If you're over 2.5 to 3%, that one factor of how the rate in which your ad gets clicked through is not going to be holding you back from actually making a profit from Google ads, at least with that one individual thing of the 6 things you got to have dialed in to make your Google ads make the Google Ads platform work for you, make it pay for itself, and then you can scale up a very large campaign for yourself. So if you get it over, and if it's not there, it's not hard to get your ad over 3% click-through rate. Basically, if you're a local business, just simply add the city name the user's in. You'll get over a 3% click-through rate because nobody does this. Or the county name or whatever. The other thing, whether in addition to local but also with national businesses, you just add whatever the user's keyword is and put that into the headline, and having one ad per keyword so that you can do that. And one ad group per keyword so you can do that. And you're going to have over a 3% click-through rate. This is something I do on every single campaign that I work on. And so, why? Because nobody else is doing it. If we go ahead and do the things that other people aren't willing to do with their ads, we'll be in that top 20% that makes all the money. So, without even having to be a super clever copywriter, if your first headline says what they typed in, and they're trying to look at what ad to click on the top of Google, you're going to stand out as the default ad that everybody wants to click on because they're trying to find what they're looking for quickly and easily, and you've made it more easy and quick to figure out that you offer what they came for than anybody else advertising. So that's as far as I'll go with that one. And there's no reason why you can't get 5, 10, 15% click-through rates on your ads if you do go through and heavily split test your ad, find out the exact things that your market wants to hear, do the things I said, because we do it all the time here. 3% is absolutely like, you weren't even trying at all. And the average person doesn't try on Google Ads. That's why 80% don't make the money, basically speaking, or just say it doesn't work. Or we'll just say 80% of the people who try Google Ads, because the average person who tries Google Ads tries it, they're in, they're out, they say it doesn't work. 20% stay in it long term because they did the things that I'm mentioning to you on this video. Anyway, I'll move on from that. That's number one. Number two, check your search terms report. So there's keywords and then there's search terms. Keywords are what you bid on. Search terms are what people physically type in order to be able to, what they type in, and Google tells you exactly what they're typing in, so you could add potentially negative keywords to block certain people from seeing your ads. It would be a lot more simple if Google would just say, unless they're typing in XYZ, they're not going to see an ad. They don't have that anymore. Even if you put your keywords in exact match types, that's still not the case anymore, particularly recently. So you got to go to your search terms report, and you got to see if you're not running your keywords in this exact keyword match type, you probably have all kinds of wild, crazy different searches in there where people are typing in totally irrelevant stuff that's irrelevant to your business there, and draining your budget. And so one thing that you could do to fix that, if that's you, is just make all your keywords an exact match and then add more of them. Of course, you'll know what to add because all the good keywords are already in your search terms report and you've already paid for them already. But basically, a lot of times where we've got to run keywords in exact match, probably 50% or more of the markets we're in, we've got to run all the keywords in exact match to make sure the search terms report doesn't have more than 10% of irrelevant searches in there. Because obviously, if half the searches are totally irrelevant to what you're doing, that's a huge handicap that you're going to have and hurdle to get over to be able to make profitability with your ads with that one thing alone. So your targeting, in other words, to know if your targeting is right, you look at the search terms report. If the search terms report seems like the targeting is right, well then you know targeting is not a problem anymore. So that's the second thing you're going to check to see where the problem is, why your ad's not working, why you're not, of the few people that always basically are making money with Google Ads, why you're not there yet. Number three, check your conversion rates. With this one, you're going to, doesn't matter how good the targeting is and how good your ad is if your website doesn't convert or your offer doesn't convert. So with that, you can going back to WordStream, you can Google WordStream industry average conversion rates, and they have a study based upon their thousands of customers. about what their conversion rates are with their PPC software, and then you could find out about what conversion rate you should expect for your market to know about where you need to be at for this specific thing, this specific component of PPC and making PPC work. So if you're at least there, then you know you don't have number 3 to worry about. If you have an e-commerce site, it's harder to realize what your conversion rates are, at least looking at WordStream, because they basically don't have that data. Each e-commerce business is different, but the main thing that makes them different, by the way, is how much your product itself is sold for. The higher the price of product, the lower your conversion rate is going to be, because you're going to have a higher percentage of people who don't think what you're charging is of value enough to consider parting ways with their money to buy it. And so what I've drawn here for you is a simple table here that'll just basically give you an idea of, if you're an e-commerce business, what your conversion rate needs to be on average, basically, to know that your conversion rate's high enough that this isn't the main weak link in your PPC campaign and funnel that you have. If you're in the $0 to $100 price range of what you're selling, you should be able to have a conversion rate of at least 5%. If you're doing everything right on your website to convey the information you need to convey, have your website look trustworthy, have your logo look trustworthy, have your information clear and concise and intuitive, all this stuff that makes up conversion rate optimization as a discipline, as a practice itself. So what you have to offer, how it's framed is more important than what you offer itself a lot of times. And a lot of times what that takes is just going to a high-end design firm that knows how to make conversion rates, websites that have high conversion rates. And where people go wrong is they have an e-commerce business and they say, I think $10,000 on an e-commerce site is a good amount of money to spend for it. And the reality is, for 10 grand, I don't care what anybody says, that's going to get you a crappy website made off of a template, which the templates themselves are designed people who know nothing about conversion rate optimization. And so they're just trying to, tweak a shitty base website to make it look customized. So you have somebody who didn't know what they were doing, customizing something, which the person customizing it doesn't know what they're doing. And yeah, the website might look okay to you, but to your consumers, it doesn't look trustworthy enough. You got to compare your website to the other people advertising in the Google space, and it has to be as good or better than them. At least just as good as the average, but probably in the top 20%, like I said. And an e-commerce website that really looks good, converts well in a competitive market is going to cost a lot of times 30 grand plus nowadays. If you're in a super competitive market where you're in a market where, and it depends by niche, right? If you're in a market where even if everything went right, you can make $1 million a year in sales, you may be able to get by with a $15,000 website. If you're competing for a business that if you do everything right, you're going to make $50 million a year, you're going to need $100 grand a year website. That's just how it is. The stakes are higher. It's going to require more. But anyway, as per that, to know if you actually spend enough on your website, basically, you pay pennies, you're going to get monkeys working on your website that get you shitty conversion rates. $0 to $100 price point on your products, you should be getting a 5% conversion rate. $100 to $200 price point, you should be at a 4% conversion rate. At a 200 to 300% price point, you should be at a 3% conversion rate. At a 300 to 500% conversion rate, you should be at a 1% conversion rate. At a $500 to $1,000 price point, you should be at a 0.5% conversion rate, and then it just keeps going. At 1,000 to 2,000, you should be at like 0.25, and it just keeps going down and down depending on how high it is or how expensive what you have is that you're trying to sell. Obviously, if you're selling something over 1,000, you probably aren't even doing it through a traditional e-commerce means anymore. So I stopped there, but you get the general idea. That gives you a general benchmark of where you should be at with your conversion rate. You damn well should be tracking your conversion rate with e-commerce revenue tracking through Google Analytics or Google Ads. And you need to be somewhere in this ballpark to know that your website's good enough to compete and have the capability to make you money or have your Google Ads make money. All right. So that's the case with the number 3 there. Number 4, getting into that next, you're going to have to look at what your competitors' offer and prices are. So basically, if you took out everything else and you compared what your offer is of the product or service you're selling and how you frame it, i.e. is there a guarantee, is there money, is there payments that you're offering, are you throwing in an extra, whatever, and you compare it directly side by side with your competition that's already advertising through Google Ads, you could throw in who's ranking highly in the organic space as well, by the way, with this, because they're also a competitor that's going to be findable for people on Google, particularly as you have higher priced items. People are going to spend more time researching more people and more options because they want to make it's more likely to want to get a better deal, and that's a bigger decision. So you look at that, and then I could tell you that if you're offering like a plumbing service or something like that, even if your prices aren't the same, it's fine. As long as you're not charging like way more than everybody else, you probably know that your offer is not going to be a problem. Why? Because if you do the rest of the stuff that I mentioned here right, then it justifies a little bit higher of a price. Where you run into a problem as it comes to the offer and the price, specifically is in the scenario where you sell a product, and that product is the same product as everybody else is offering. And when I say a product, I'm not saying you're selling, handcrafted wooden boxes here, and so is everybody else, because each handcrafted wooden box is a little bit different, so people aren't going to scrutinize what you're charging for that box as per a wooden box should cost this. No, they know a wooden box is going to cost based upon the craftsmanship and the quality and who's made it and everything else. Where you run into problems is when you have, going with that same scenario, the, Johnson Plus wooden box, and there's 10 other people selling that exact brand name wooden box, and you're not the cheapest one, it's really hard to make search ads work. You may be able to get shopping ads to work, but even then it's going to be tough to make an ROI. Why? Because in that situation, the offer is everything. Your website has to be to a certain standard, but if you do everything else right and you're not the cheapest one or one of the cheaper ones, your inefficiency in your funnel is going to be so great that it's going to be very hard to make money, and probably you won't be able to make money with it. So you should lower your price and make less per sale, or just find something else to sell. But that's the general scenario with that. And that's also why I say, or have said on this channel, drop shipping and affiliate marketing sucks. And I've never personally, in the last 6 or 7, 8 years now running this PPC firm and dealing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, never seen anybody actually making money, good money at least, doing affiliate marketing or drop shipping on Google search ads because there's too much competition. At least in a competition in which you can't change the other variables to make up for something that fundamentally they know you're selling is the same exact thing as somebody else is selling, and you can get the same exact thing somewhere else for a little bit cheaper and just go there. And will go there as long as the other elements like the website don't look too completely atrocious. And the chances are, if they're doing drop shipping, they're savvy with marketing, so they probably got a website that's at least okay, and you're just not gonna win in that scenario. But again, if you're twice as much, your plumbing services is double what the other people are charging, and you decide to do that because labor is harder to get nowadays, which is a big thing nowadays in 2022 and beyond, you could charge double, have the better reviews, have the better website, and get away with it. And this is actually, by the way, something that you should be doing or strongly consider doing for yourself. Because I hear a lot of people say, well, I can't find people. Why don't you just make the rest of your marketing so good that you could charge more than anybody else and still make it work? People will pay more if you make them feel good in all the other areas. Like, website looks more trustworthy, you have good reviews, you looks like you do good work. So why not do that instead of trying to charge as little as possible and then half-ass all the rest of the stuff and then struggle to find employees? It doesn't make any financial sense whatsoever. Or try to find another edge. How can I get my supplies for cheaper than anybody else? So I can, basically, have an edge that way. But generally speaking, anyway, as far as your offer, it doesn't have to be the same price. You don't have to have the same gimmies. That said, when you compare your offer side by side with somebody else, is your offer seemingly way shittier than somebody else's? Like, is it double the price and the other person's offering it for half the price and they're throwing in this and they have the guarantee? At some point, it is going to affect you. So you have to look at the offers. But generally speaking, if the other stuff is nailed right, like I said, you don't have to have the same offer and the same price. Just get the rest of the stuff done right and you're okay, unless you have a directly comparable offer that people can know is identical to somebody else's competitors, to your competitor's offer. And in that case, you've got to be pretty much the cheapest one just to be able to compete at all through Google Ads, given the price of the traffic. So anyway, that covers that one. Now, number 5, what your competitor's sales process looks like. This one, too many of you guys I have clients come into our firm. They want me to get them leads. Then they get the leads and they do a really half-assed job of converting those leads. They don't contact leads right away. If you want 80% of the people you want to get in touch with 80% of the form leads you get, you got to respond within 15 minutes. And you can't just say to your salespeople, respond quickly, because they're not going to do it. They're going to respond on their time frame, and then you're going to throw, if you respond 30 minutes later versus 15 minutes later, you can go from an 80% response rate on that lead to a 30% response rate on your lead, and that could be the one thing that blows your whole campaign. If you take phone calls, are you making people go through a huge automated IVR system in the beginning? Are you putting on hold forever? Are you making it ring forever? God forbid, are you letting it go to voicemail because you can't answer multiple calls at once? All that shit's going to affect your profitability, and a lot. You got to be able to answer the calls quickly. You got to answer the form leads quickly. Not only that, you can't just have a secretary answer questions like they don't give a shit. When, at least, you should be calling 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 of your competitors and finding out what their process is like. And if your shit isn't as good as theirs, good luck making your stuff work. Sorry, that's just the way that it is. Really, just as important as the front end in terms of what you do to get the lead is just as important as what you do when you got the lead, for you generating leads. Sorry, that's the way that it is. Yes, it's expensive to have a salesperson answer the phone. Yes, it's difficult to get somebody to answer the phone and form leads in a timely manner, but you have to do it to make money in a lot of different situations you're going to be in. As per answering the form leads within 15 minutes, there's services out there that when somebody enters a form lead, you can have it call the salesperson automatically and say, John Smith just filled out the form on your landing page. Would you like to contact him? If so, press 1. And you press 1, immediately calls the lead. And so you could physically enforce a policy where somebody has to get in hold of a lead within 15 minutes. There's some other things that you can do to increase your closing rates on your leads. There's quite a few things. I have videos on this channel about specifically how to increase your closing rate on leads that you should check out. That you can go into more information about this, but this is a way bigger factor than other people believe. You start to miss calls, stuff goes to voicemails. Forget it. At least from the standpoint initially that when you just start up your ads, your cost per click is going to be higher because you've built up no reputation with Google yet. No matter how good your ads and your landing pages are, due to Google's quality score, your cost per click is going to be 2, 3, 4 times as high as what it's going to be 6 months in. And once Google recognizes your ad and your landing page does better than most of the people that are advertising through Google now for your keywords. And so you have that going against you. So if everything else ain't going right, you're going to lose a shitload of money up front, at least up front, until you get that reputation with Google. So why would you add to it this huge inefficiency on the lead response times? People too much are saying, well, I'll deal with all that lead shit, improving the lead closing rate until when we get more leads. No. If you do that, you'll probably fall into the camp of people that said, well, we're not getting enough leads, or we're not getting enough sales from this ad spend, so we're just going to cut it. When reality is, if they would have took it seriously from the beginning, every single lead was like life or death. You had if you didn't close it, you were going to die. You would have been okay. You would have cut the losses that you had to go through and experience initially to get the ball rolling on your campaign minimally enough that you stuck with it until it was profitable. So anyway, and that's a side note about Google Ads, why people say it doesn't work. You got to earn your reputation with Google. They got to see that you're a person that won't get your ads shut off, that you're going to keep your card funded, that your ad's going to have a good click-through rate, your landing page is going to have a good conversion rate. You're giving users a good experience so that when people go and click on your ad, they're more likely to click on ads in the future because that's what Google wants, so that Google makes money long term. If Google only promoted the person with the most money, people would just hate ads and then nobody would click on ads anymore. So a lot of people don't recognize this and recognize that Google has an algorithm that determines on a consistent basis which ads should be shown, which should not, which ads should be charged this versus this. And if you're not actively looking at your landing page and your ads side by side with your competitions and trying to make sure you're at least in that top 20 percentile in terms of the ad click-through rate and the landing page conversion rate, or what you should get for a conversion rate in terms of how it looks and how trustworthy it is, how professional it is, how much eye candy is for the user there. It's physically eye-pleasing, so people want to stay on the page because of that. You're going to lose as well. Or you're just going to pay so much that it's not going to be profitable. And even no matter how good it is, when you first start out, Google has 2 strikes against you because the average person does a really shitty job. And until you've proven through having enough clicks that you have the better ad and landing page, you're going to pay a higher price per click, and it's probably going to lose money for a few months until you've built up that reputation with Google. So anyway, went off on a small tangent there, but that's another thing that people don't recognize about Google Ads. So your sales process for those that are generating leads, and before I switch to number 6 here, for your e-commerce people, also a lot of people say, I have an e-commerce site, I don't want to have a phone number on my website. Not having a phone number on your website and expecting Google Ads to work is so much bullshit. You want to have a phone number on somebody's website if you're going to do business with somebody on the internet. Why the hell would you not have a phone number on your website? Ultimately, they know if you have no phone number on your website, and a ton of people are going to check way more than you think, they know if they have a problem with their order, there's going to be a high likelihood they're going to get fucked around, because it's easy to just ignore your emails versus ignore your phone calls. And they're not going to buy because of that. They're going to buy from somebody else who has a phone number on their website. So you have to have that. And you got to have the phone number out, and you're proud to show it, and you want people to call, because getting them on the phone is one component or one step in getting a sale many, many times with many different people. The higher the price of product, the more people are going to want to call first. You start selling something over $100, you don't have a good sales process so that your phone number is proudly displayed, you're getting as many people to call, and you have somebody knowledgeable on the phone that can answer questions, and not just questions about shipping time, but how is this going to fix my exact problem? You're going to run into problems in getting your ads to convert good enough to pay for your ad spend and after all your expenses and so forth. So the phone is key with your e-commerce people. And as far as running an e-commerce business, if you're not running an e-commerce business and all you're trying to do is put a product on a website and hoping they buy it and that's it, you're adding no value to the world. Why wouldn't they just go to Amazon to buy it? Or your value in having the e-commerce site is to be able to, your job in the value chain is to help the user distinguish if the product's going to help them for their exact situations. Some people won't want that or need that, but a lot of people will. And that's not what they can get through Walmart or Amazon or any place else. You can win with e-commerce just by finding a niche and becoming good at identifying and helping people through problems, and the products that you offer can solve people's problems in that niche. Because that's your differentiation point right there. And therefore you got to have a phone number, you got to have a good sale, be able to have somebody who's knowledgeable to do the sales, and then the same thing through email as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well for you e-commerce guys. Number 6, what your competitor reviews are. So this last one, you could do all the rest of this stuff. If you get under like a 3.5 in terms of your Google reviews or whatever, you know, shows up on the top of Google for your company, when people go, type your company name and the reviews at the top of Google, you could do all the rest of this stuff right and you're still gonna crash and burn. If you have bad reviews, it doesn't mean you should stop. You're just gonna have to pay a greater price until you build those reviews back up. And I have several videos about how to get more reviews. It's proven systems to get lots of reviews in a hurry, real quick. And of course they're gonna be positive due to the way that I set it up for you. So you should look into that. So if you're at least a 3.5, forget about making money if you're under a 3.5 basically. If you do any kind of research on your company and that's what they see, just forget about it or realize you're gonna lose money until you built that back up. Really, you wanna be over a 4, okay? To not have that affect your stuff and your ROI from your PPC campaigns at all. And that goes for Google search ads or any other PPC online, Facebook, you know, Google Display Network, LinkedIn ads, whatever you're doing online advertising wise. If your reviews suck, you know, the last thing people do before they buy is they're going to do a little bit of research on you if it's not a $20 item, and you're going to lose half your sales because your reviews suck, or 2/3 of your sales. And I know that's hard to believe, but I can tell you, I've personally seen where clients had bad reviews and good reviews, and where they turned their reviews around and their sales come up 2 to 3 times just from that one factor. We've also done studies. I have a video just about review scores and how they affect your conversion rates, how a 3.5 versus a 4.5 will affect your ROI and your conversion rates on your campaigns. So this is big, and everything I talked about here really applies to any other online advertising that you're doing, by the way. Conversion rates are going to be different for any display advertising. Certainly, you're not going to be able to rely on WordStream for what your conversion rate should be for Facebook and so forth. But as it pertains to e-commerce, this chart here I gave you will apply to any other, you know, channel basically for the most part. Not exactly, because the display advertising, the thing about it is the traffic's cheaper, so you can expect the conversion rate to be lower, and then therefore though it balances out. So it's trickier to know, is your site converting well enough, because you don't have no standards to go off of. All I would say to you guys in doing other traffic sources is maybe run some Google ads and see if you can't get that to work first, and see what conversion rates you're getting there after having the other stuff I mentioned right, like the search terms, or you know, you're getting the right qualified traffic to the site, and see what it converts. And if it doesn't convert, then you know your landing page is no good and that Facebook ad's never gonna work. Or you could, of course, compare your offer and your landing page to your competition's landing page and see what they're doing if you have direct competitors already. But the more predictable method would be to say, I'm going to make my ads work on Google search first. And if it won't work on Google search, I know my landing page and website's not good enough. Assuming all the rest of this stuff is right. And then you can go to work making your website better, or, you know, like I said, what most practical people are going to do, given how complicated websites are and how hard it is to understand consumer psychology as it applies to conversion rate optimization. Just go hire somebody to do that, because you're going to spend so much time thinking that you're doing it right, hiring a cheap person, which the cheap people, they're going to say, first you're going to hire them, they're going to say, how do you want your website to look? And then if they say that, by the way, you know you've got a complete bullshit person working on it. The right person who knows that's going to get you results is going to tell you how it needs to be set up specifically. And obviously the higher the price point, the more likely it is that they're going to know what they're doing, because the good people that know what they're doing design-wise, that work on this stuff, are charging $150,000 a year for a salary. So it is what it is. You know, that's stuff that makes money and you pay for it. It's a cheap price, though, when you consider they're going to make you a multi-million-dollar website. I mean, what are you going to expect it's going to cost? If it didn't make that money, it wouldn't cost that much. You just got to put things into perspective. But anyway, I'll wrap it up with that. Hope you enjoyed this video. I have a lot of other videos on this channel about other PPC methods and stuff that we're coming out with, that we're testing, that works, that we share with you on this channel all the time, as well as stuff that doesn't work, stuff to stay away from. So it's the best content on YouTube I can find about actual actionable advice as it comes to PPC strategy out there. We also have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build PPC campaigns the way that I build them here. And if you want to learn how to do things on a more step-by-step basis, you can find other great information for yourself there as well to help you out if you're also need some help along those lines. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, don't know why your stuff's working, wanted a specific piece of advice that I didn't cover, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. And beyond that, I do want to mention one other thing, which I'm coming out with. We're actually offering proven Google search ad campaigns that are proven and working in one market. And if you want to start a business, you can actually just buy the active working campaign from us to be able to set up that same business in another market. For instance, we don't have in the plumbing market here today, not what we're doing exactly today, but we have a plumber making $3 million a year in sales from his plumbing business. 90% of just comes from the Google ads that we set up. He works in Dallas, Texas. You're from Houston. You want to be a plumber, you could just take our entire campaign and landing page setup that we made for him to make him $3 million a year. We'll give it to you, and for a reasonable price. Basically nothing compared to the years of optimization that we put into that campaign to get it where it was and to make that guy the $3 million a year like clockwork now that it's set up and just churns out profit every month. We also have national campaigns that we're running where the client had specifically had some internal problems. The campaign still works. Want to set up a business? We have a turnkey way for you to be able to make money. That we have the campaign, we give it to you, and it's all optimized for you already. So basically, and you can, with that, you can avail that from us as well. You'll be able to, of course, see the guy's campaign that's working, that's making the $3 million a year before you commit to having bought in the whole campaign, but then we'll set it all up for you and so forth. So we have that opportunity for people now here at our firm. And as a side note to that, if you want to start a business and you're not a plumber, you could simply hire a plumber that doesn't know how to get sales locally, set up your own little website, take our campaign bolted on there with our landing pages that are working, and then just take 10% of the whole revenue that comes in from it, and with us being able to tell you about what percentage of marketing that client spends on the Google ads per the sales that they have coming in. So in other words, they're spending 7% of their sales into Google ads. You can go to that other plumber, say, I'll give you these customers, we'll want 10% of the fees. You funnel all the calls and form fills to him. You take your 3% cut. It's almost automated money or completely passive money. So anyway, that's available through our firm at Guarantee PPC. You can contact us for details. We have several markets where you can do this exact thing and check out and get results from that way. With that, I'll wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in my next video where I have another good, or should I say great, PPC strategy where you can make more money from your PPC campaigns and or save money avoiding the stuff that doesn't work from active stuff that we're doing from our many clients that we have in our firm given to you here on the Guarantee PPC channel. See you there.